Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Diane Hayden with Essential Naples Magazine and Natural Nutmeg Magazine. And welcome to our weekly Lunch and Learns, where we interview experts on COVID-19, how to cope with the situation, and also uplifting topics on everything from natural medicine to how to lead a more healthier, holistic lifestyle. I'm excited today to have with me Dr. Derrick DeSilva. He has been seeing patients for the past 31 years as a doctor of internal medicine. His focus has always been in bringing together Eastern and Western medicine and giving his patients the best of both worlds. For the past 15 years, his passion has been in the field of anti-aging, or optimal aging medicine, as he likes to call it. His 5 points of wellness include the food we eat, bioidentical hormones, our activity level, what nutrients we take, and of course, our spirituality. He is on the associate staff in the Department of Medicine at Raritan Bay Medical Center in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, and on the teaching faculty at JFK Medical Center in Edison, New Jersey. He is the past chairman of the planning committee for the Age Management Medicine Group and the past president of the American Nutraceutical Association, and he also is currently serving on many medical advisory boards. His accolades include recipient of the Alan Mintz Award for Excellence in Clinical Age Management Medicine, the Best Doctor Award in New Jersey and New York by Castle Connolly for the past 19 consecutive years, and many more. His media exposure has included numerous TV appearances on CNN, Extra, Larry King, and he is currently the medical correspondent for Cablevision, News 12 New Jersey, and host of Health Matters. He's lectured at numerous national and international medical conferences and is currently working as a guest lecturer at AMG Driving Academy, Mercedes-Benz, and for Avita Cosmetics. He has also formulated over 350 dietary supplements and is a published author. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Dr. DeSilva. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. After reading all of that, you're probably out of time, right? I mean, is it time to go? Do we have room for time
Well,
to do anything?
we have about 5 minutes left.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Hey, we want people to know everything that you've done over all these years. You have some amazing accomplishments,
Thank
and
you. Thank you. By the way, thank you for the invitation.
of course, of course. I love it when we have a medical doctor on this show, because I think many people's first question, well, they're probably surprised. And then the first question is always, how does a traditional MD, especially an internist, go from that type of medicine to what we all know and love, basically, holistic medicine, anti-aging medicine, whatever you want to call it. How did you make that transition?
Well, I think the transition probably happened when I was a very, very young child, believe it or not. My grandmother, I was born in Sri Lanka, which is a small island off the southeast coast of India. And whenever I had an exam, whenever I had a test in school as a very young child, my grandmother would make me some Gotu Kola. She would mix it with some onion, and it would be kind of tempered, if you will, just kind of sautéed in coconut oil. Now, she would give that to me for breakfast, and I would have that with some brown rice, and that was my breakfast. And I mean, it's my grandmother, right? She's giving me something, I'm going to eat it because it's good for me. Many years ago, and so this, I guess, 50 years later, believe it or not, I said to my dad one day, Dad, what was it that Grandma was giving us? And he said that was Gotu Kola. I said, Gotu Kola? Gotu Kola is a brain nutrient. He
Wow.
said, yeah, and my father, by the way, has a degree in botany, so he's got a degree in botanical sciences. And he said, yeah, Gotu Kola. I mean, she always gave you that before an exam. So, and throughout my life, I have always taken vitamins and supplements and nutrients, and I've always believed that there's more than one way to treat somebody that has a particular disease state. But more importantly, what I want to do is give you or introduce you to modalities, Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, hypnosis, acupuncture, and I have all of those in my practice, by the way, give you that opportunity to see these people to prevent or protect you from getting these diseases. So that's kind of where my brain has always been, and that's how I've evolved and my practice has evolved.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it was in your roots essentially. And, you were born into a family that, believed in the more natural ways to treat things. And like you said, it's not something that's new. It really bugs me when people talk about it as alternative medicine, because to me, it's what conventional medicine should be called alternative medicine. This type of medicine has been around for thousands and thousands of years, and many of us have stories like that where our grandmother or someone in our family just had that mindset and brought these traditions or recipes or whatever you want to call them, just kept passing them on generation after generation. So that's it's
True.
amazing that you then went to traditional medical school and didn't have that basically beaten out of you. You were able to continue to bring that into just your style of thinking as far as being a doctor.
But believe me, when I talked about this stuff when I was in medical school and even during residency, they tried.
Yeah.
They really tried. But I truly resisted, and I'm so glad that I did.
Yeah, yeah, that is fantastic. So let's talk about your 5 points of wellness. I love this. One of them being something obviously I'm so passionate about, exercise physiology. But wherever you want to start, and it's I mean, to me, it's very simple. It's complete common sense, and yet I think many of us just don't think this way, that it can be that simple. The 5 points that you talk about in terms of staying healthy.
The problem is, Dr. Hayden, is that common sense is not that common, right? We've all heard people say that. And yes, we can start with your passion, which is exercise physiology. And what I tell my patients to do is this. What I want you to do is I want you to do something every day, but it has to do with something that you enjoy doing. If you don't like going to the gym, don't go to the gym. What I enjoy doing is I love to play tennis. I really enjoy playing pickleball. I'll play any kind of a racket sport as long as I'm moving. So if you like going to the gym, go to the gym. I'm completely fine with that. If you like tennis, go play tennis. If you're a golfer, walk on the golf course. But my point is that you have to do something physical every day. And the definition of exercise is a sustained heart rate for a sustained period of time. So being active is great, but exercise is a sustained heart rate for a sustained period of time. That's the definition.
Yeah, it's good to set that apart, I think, because a lot of people do feel like I'm active, meaning, I do a lot of work around the house, or I do gardening, or I might go for a leisure walk. And, they consider that being active. And while I will agree it's better than sitting on the couch the entire day, like you're saying, it's not the same thing as sustained exercise. So that's an important point, I think.
Right.
I'm also glad that you brought up pickleball, because one of the things I wanted to mention early on in this show is that your practice is in New Jersey, but you also see patients in Naples, Florida. And I just wanted to make sure we talked about that, because anyone who's watching from Naples, I want to make sure that they know that you are available to see them down here too. And pickleball, I mean, you fit right in Naples. I mean, it's got to be pickleball capital of the country for sure.
Yeah, well, I started playing. I was introduced to pickleball about five. Don't get me started on pickleball. That'll be the whole show here.
Okay.
I'll talk about. But very quickly, I was introduced to. I play a lot of tennis. I've played tennis all my life. And one of the tennis pros came up to me one day and said, "Hey, Derrick, I want you to come over and try this new thing we're doing. It's called pickleball." It's about 5 years ago. I said, "What is it?" He gave me the bracket. We got on the court and we started hitting around. I said, "Man, I love this." Because any tennis player can pick up pickleball very quickly. So at the time, nobody was playing pickleball. And I started doing the demonstration with the pros in the Naples area. So I would play with them in all these demos tournaments to introduce people to it. But yeah, I love Florida. I love being in Florida. I love all the time I spend there. So, and especially Naples, you can't beat it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll talk about contact information and everything, how people
Absolutely.
can get a hold of you before we finish today. But I just wanted to point that out for people. So, activity level, exercise, do the point that I heard from you is make sure you're doing something that you love to do and that is sustained exercise. Do you recommend a certain amount of time per day? Any
Yes.
recommend? Okay.
Yeah, what I usually tell people is, you know, everybody can find 20 minutes, right? 15 to 20 minutes every day is great, because the new data is telling us that it really should not go more than an hour. The
Hmm.
people that do this for 2 hours a day is just way too much. They end up tearing themselves up. They end up damaging their body. They get into more of a pro-oxidative state versus a, and just, excuse me, pro-inflammatory state. And there's so much inflammation that they build up. It's just too much. 30 minutes is really the sweet spot. So 30 to 45 minutes is really the sweet. Go out for a walk for 30 to 45 minutes, play tennis, whatever it is that you do. That's kind of the time frame. But I will say one thing, Dr. Hayden, before people start an exercise program. If you have not exercised and you've not done anything for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, you have to make sure that you go see your physician and get a checkup before you start any kind of an exercise program. That is absolutely critical.
Right. And I would add to that, if you are hiring a personal trainer, or if you're going into a gym, most places that are reputable will require that, at least encourage you to do that. So I completely agree with you 100%. Probably anybody, no matter what age range, but especially older adults for sure, because you don't know, like what kind of, if you haven't had a physical recently, or if you haven't had blood work recently, and you go and you start doing high intensity exercise, you potentially could have a situation. So
Right.
that's great advice. I love that. Perfect. Okay. So exercise, where do you want to go next?
How about what we fuel? How do we fuel our bodies? What do we do? You know, why personally like something called intermittent fasting, where I fast for about 16 hours of the day and I eat 8 hours of the day. And I mean, for me, there's a lot of advantages to intermittent fasting. There's something called autophagy, which is cellular cleaning. It raises growth hormone levels, reduces insulin levels, and there's a whole host of things that intermittent fasting does. Again, you don't need to do what I do. Find what works for you. Some people say to me, I can't do that. Okay, I'm completely fine with that. But what you can do is you can control your diet. Here's what I tell, as when you read in the beginning, you mentioned that, I work with Mercedes-Benz. I help the professional drivers at the Mercedes-Benz AMG Driving Academy. I take care of those drivers there. And I tell these guys and ladies all the time, look, if you are a 600 horsepower car and you are putting kerosene in that engine and expecting to get the performance of 93, 94 octane gasoline, it ain't happening. It's not going to happen. So it's the same thing for this engine that we have. If you don't put the right fuel in, you are not going to get the performance out. And it's a very simple concept. And I think whenever you open up that refrigerator, or whenever you open up that pantry, you got to think to yourself, is this the right fuel for this body that is so amazing, that does so many incredible things?
Yeah, absolutely. Garbage in, garbage out, right? Like,
There's a lot of ways to say it. There's
yeah,
many ways to say what you and I are talking about. And I tell people this again all the time. You instinctively know what you should and shouldn't be eating. When you pull out that ice cream at night, you know that that really is not a good idea, no matter how you rationalize that. But instinctively, you know what to do. Just pay attention and do it.
right. Yeah, and I think we're not. Well, I'm also a big proponent of everything in moderation too.
Yes.
I mean, we're not saying you can't ever have that ice cream, or you can't ever have that pasta, or whatever it might be that is the things that you really love. That to me is just not sustainable. When I work with people on nutrition and weight loss, I want them to find. I'm going to give them all of my recommendations. Some are going to work for them, some aren't. The basic thing, and I keep hearing you say this, is it's all about what is sustainable.
Right.
You have to find something that's going to be sustainable, and also be able to, cut back here or there, change the diet up a little bit. I mean, I feel like the biggest struggle I think people have is that they either don't know how to cook healthy food in a way that tastes good for them. So it might be a little bit about learning different recipes, learning how to season, learning how to cook vegetables a certain way. I mean, my mother used to cook Brussels sprouts by boiling them, and I thought they were the most disgusting vegetable. Well, of course, it tastes terrible like that.
Right.
Until someone finally sauteed them for me, and like a little bit of coconut oil and a little bit of seasoning. I was like, oh my God, this is a completely different vegetable.
I like eating
So,
potato chips. You're right. You're
yep.
right.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, just figure out a way to, learn how to cook things differently, and you would be surprised that you actually might like more healthy food than you think you do.
Yes, true, true. And I think from there we can transition into, what are some basic nutrients now that everybody needs to take? And I have three recommendations for better health. Number one, probiotic. 70-80% of your immune system resides in your intestine. During these times of this COVID virus crisis, look, we're in the middle of a battle. We're in the middle of a war. You can do one of two things. You can stick your head in the sand, you can go hide in the closet, or you can prepare yourself for if and when, and it's likely when, you're going to be exposed to this virus. If your body is ready and you have the right nutrients in here, probiotics, vitamin D, omega 3s, vitamin C, okay. So maybe you will get sick, but you're not going to end up in the hospital. You're not going to have a fever of 104. You're not going to be short of breath. Why? Because your body is going to be able to fight off whatever is coming in as the invader. And that's all I'm telling people to do is do the basics when it comes to nutrients. Take a probiotic, and that should be taken from the first day you're born. But all three of my grandsons, I have three grandsons, all three boys was started on a probiotic the very first day of life and the very first feeding. All three of them. That's how important this is to me. So probiotics, number one. Number two, vitamin D. Get your blood test done. And that's the other thing that I need people to do is when I do an evaluation on somebody, I usually go to their homes. I spend 2 hours with them and I do a blood test. And I'm talking about a lot of blood, a very, very extensive blood test. Obviously, what's your sugar, what's your thyroid, what's your kidneys, liver, what's your blood count. But beyond that, what about your DNA? How do you methylate? What about your micronutrients? What about your hormones? What is your testosterone like, etc.? So it's a very extensive blood work along with vitamin D levels, vitamin B12 levels, magnesium levels, iodine levels, etc. And then I tailor it to whatever it is you need. So nutrients to me are the things that make the engine run, right? You need spark plugs, you need gasoline, you need oil, you need brakes, you need tires. You need all of these pieces to be working together in order to make this high performance vehicle or just a regular car do what it's supposed to do, which is to run and to take you where you need to go. So that is also a really important piece. And now I can tailor exactly what it is you need and give you exactly what you need to become the best you can be.
Yeah, that's excellent. A couple points I'm glad you made, especially about the prevention for COVID-19, because no one's talking about that. And my mindset is, do you think that we were designed in a way not to be able, our bodies not to be able to efficiently take care of ourselves, protect ourselves? Granted, I understand nowadays it's everything from, we're not eating the right food, or the food that we are eating has toxins in it. There's toxins in the environment. It's not the same as it was when our grandparents grew up, of course. So even more reason behind why we need to take some of these supplements to just boost ourselves. But a lot of it is really just understanding that we have the ability to prevent these types of illnesses. It's not like we're helpless and, we can't do anything about it. We have to hide in our homes.
Right.
So I'm glad we talked about that, definitely. And
And there's one other thing I want to mention with regard to that. You would have to eat 12 bowls of spinach today to equal the iron concentration of one bowl of spinach from the 1930s. Now, my parents are 84 years old. They were born in 1935. So that was not that long ago. The amount of iron found in apples has decreased over 70%. The amount of magnesium in cabbage has fallen well over 80%. And the list just goes on and on and on. So, yes, I am not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that we should be taking a bunch of pills for our vitamins. Absolutely not. Eat the food that you're supposed to be eating, fruits and vegetables, etc., grains, etc. But make sure you supplement for what is missing in those fruits and vegetables and in some of your food. That's all I'm saying.
right, exactly. And I would say it does depend on where you are buying your produce. If you can buy from a small local organic farm, you're
Love it.
definitely right. You're definitely going to find, non-GMO. You're going to find a situation where the food is much more rich in the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients than if you buy, commercialized, processed stuff at the local grocery store. I mean, I don't even trust half of what Whole Foods has on the shelves anymore. But what are you going to do? Some
Better
people
be
don't.
careful.
I know. Some people don't have access to it though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people who live in cities, they don't have a way to get to a small organic farm. So, I mean, you do the best you can. And then I think that it is important to consider what supplements to take depending on what access to food you have.
I'm laughing out loud when you just said that because you have all of these stores, right? These supposed organic health food stores that are promoting all of this fresh produce, and you only wonder, like, where's this stuff really coming from?
Yeah.
And then you have New Jersey here, which is called the Garden State, and on every corner there's somebody selling corn and tomatoes and peppers and zucchini and squash. I mean, and that's where in the summer I stop and I pick up that stuff, and it is just the the taste is just, oh,
Oh, it's amazing.
so
Yeah,
good.
it's
It's
amazing.
so
And
good.
Connecticut's the same way. And I laugh because being down in Florida, you would think, oh my God, Florida, it's
Yes,
year-round beautiful weather. You
yes,
have all this
yes.
amazing food, but you don't because they ship it up north and out west and other places where they can make more money. So,
Down from where we are in Naples, down the road, literally, I think it's 5 or 10 miles, is where most, if not all, of the produce, which is in Immokalee, comes from. And you see going through town these huge trucks with tomatoes and all of the oranges and the lemons. I mean, we need to go there. We need to go shopping there. That's what we
mhm,
need to do. I mean, it's amazing. It's just incredible. But yeah, you have to eat fresh. I think there's no question about
right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's talk about bioidentical hormones.
that. Oh God, you you want to talk about an area of controversy right now?
Yep.
That's it. Here's the problem. In the 1980s, in the early 1980s, there was a study that was done called the WHI study, the Women's Health Initiative. It destroyed our generation of women because our generation of women were told that if you use hormones, you're going to get breast cancer. That's what our generation of women were told. So our generation of women, and I'm 63 years of age, but that generation of women that is my age and a little bit younger and even a little bit older, none of them have ever taken hormones. Or if they took hormones, they were given synthetic hormones that were not bioidentical. What is meant by bioidentical? Bioidentical means your body recognizes what you're taking because it's identical biologically to what your body makes. If I take something and I put it into your body and you eat it or you ingest it or you rub it on or you do an injection or whatever it is you want, if your body doesn't recognize it, what's it going to do? you're going to react to it in a negative way. Versus if I put something in that your body knows what it is, it understands what it's supposed to do and utilizes it. It's the same with estrogen, it's the same with progesterone, and it's the same with testosterone. Testosterone, by the way, estrogen doesn't cause breast cancer. The wrong form of estrogen causes breast disease. Testosterone does not cause prostate cancer. If there's a study going on right now, there's a gentleman in Boston that is doing a study. He is the world's authority, Dr. Abraham Morgentaler. He's the world's authority. He's the head of the International Androgen Society. And he's the world's authority for the third time, sorry for being redundant, on androgens and testosterone. Do you know that he uses testosterone to treat prostate cancer? And guess what? His outcomes are better. Now, I don't do that. I'm not a urologist. I treat men and women that are non-complicated cases. If they're complicated, you're either going to your gynecologist or you're going to your urologist. And that's the way it is. If they're uncomplicated, simple cases, myself, I use it and I feel great. It protects my testosterone, protects your brain. And this is for men and women. It protects your brain, protects your heart, protects your skin. And it's overall one of the best things that you can do for men and women. Estrogen, bioidentical estrogen, is good for breast tissue. It's good for your bones. It's good for your heart. Progesterone, same thing. So using the right form of estrogen, testosterone and progesterone, is the key. And believe me, you will feel better. As I said, I'm 63. I feel fantastic. I feel absolutely fantastic. I love the way I feel. And why? I take care of myself and I do what I'm supposed to do. I'm not perfect, but I try to do the best I can.
Yeah, and again, something that I think nobody's talking about. Everybody's concerned about, oh my gosh, like I can't take estrogen. I've got to lower this and lower that and whatnot. And no one is talking about what are all there's a reason why we have these hormones. They're beneficial for us. And so no one is talking about what are the critical functions that they have in the body and what happens when you age and they decrease.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, that's great.
I,
I
li-
think.
I like this. I really like that. I mean, I knew that you would agree with me, but when I hear some of my colleagues at some of our conferences that we go to, the stories that we're able to share with each other is incredible. And then I go into the doctor's lounge in our hospital, and then we have guys in their 50s that are 10 years younger than me that are sitting there overweight with huge bellies and say, I don't know what to do. Well, stop eating the garbage that they put out in our waiting room. I mean, in our lounge, excuse me.
Yeah.
Start eating better food. I mean, I never eat in there. If there's some vegetables, I'll eat some vegetables and a little bit of rice. But the chicken, the fried chicken, the beef, and ugh,
Oh, it's
I
crazy.
can't even look at it. I mean, it's hard. No wonder they feel bad.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy what they feed you in hospitals. I mean,
Ugh,
crazy,
sinful.
crazy. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we in my Connecticut magazine, Natural Nutmeg, we've had many articles about the safety and the efficacy of bioidentical hormones. It's something we've been talking about for, I bet, as long as the magazine's been in existence, at least 13 years.
Wow.
So yeah, and you're right. I mean, from other MDs that I've talked to, it's been, an uphill battle to try to educate people because they're hearing the exact opposite everywhere they go. So it's it's tough. It really, I do believe that they did get a really bad rap and there was a lot of misinformation given out. So hopefully we have cleared some of that up.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah. And on to the last point, and probably my favorite one. What is your recommendations for spirituality, and why is this a point of wellness for you?
Because it boosts your immune system. I have my patients do one good deed a day. My 5-point program, one good deed a day. Why? Every time you perform a good deed, if I'm driving to work and somebody's trying to cut in traffic and I let them in, It boosts my immune system by 40%. It boosts their immune system by 40%. But here's the wonderful thing, Dr. Hayden, is that every single person that witnesses that good deed, their immune system gets boosted by 40%. Now, how long did that take? What kind of an effort did it take on my part? Did it cost me anything? No, not at all. Nothing. But that good deed is your spirit. We have got to change our spirit. We look at the study of epigenetics. We have our genetics. Our genetics doesn't change. But there's a study called the study of epigenetics. And by the way, part of my program is we do an analysis of your epigenetics. And we look at what is turning on and turning off your genes. One of the things that turns genes on and off, positively, negatively, is who you are, what you believe, and what your attitude is. Do you have a good attitude? What is your outlook in life? If you look at that, and you know what? I don't agree with Billy Joel. The good don't die young. They really don't. What I tell people to do is be a good soul. You don't have to be perfect. Everybody has a bad day. You know, you want to curse out somebody because they're cutting in traffic for you in front of you. Okay, it's not the norm, but okay, it happens if it's blatant. But do one good deed a day because it's so important for your spiritual health. But not only that, for your physical health, because it can turn on and it can turn off certain genes in your body, and it can really increase your longevity if you're a good person.
And the other way around. I completely believe that, negative thinking, negative thoughts, any kind of emotions like anger, frustration, resentment, judgment, that kind of thing can cause illness in the body too. I mean, we're definitely way more of a energy machine, I guess, than people have any idea. And there's a ton of stuff that's been written about it, and we're learning more and more. But I believe that, yeah, just like what you're saying, one good deed, also having a gratitude practice.
Mm-hmm.
Just find one thing a day that you're thankful for, and even that, just thinking about that, you'll notice that you actually have sensations, feelings in your body that change your perspective, change your outlook, change, all of a sudden you feel better and different.
Yeah.
So
And my gratitude today is to you, seriously, to allow me to have this platform to share this information with your audience. And if you look at 30 years ago when I started doing this and I started talking about probiotics and omega-3s and CoQ10, people looked at me at the hospital and said, DeSilva. I mean, everybody knows me there because I trained there. So, people knew me, but there was still, the chief of medicine was like, I don't know about this guy. But interestingly, as time evolved, it's amazing how many doctors from our hospital are patients of mine and how many nurses from our hospital are patients of mine. So that evolution, and I really thank you for having this type of a platform and allowing me to share this information because I believe it's so critical. And I'll share one more story with you. When we graduated from medical school, the dean of our medical school said, and I'll never forget this, and I graduated in 1982. So what is that? 200 years ago? Um,
I
the
think you got too many zeros, but
Yeah. The dean of our medical school said, make a difference, a significant difference in one person's life, and you will be considered a success in medicine. And I never forgot that. So my goal has always been to make that difference in one person's life throughout my practice. And I really, really mean that and do the best I can to help as many people as I can.
well, I'm sure that you have made that difference in thousands of people's lives for sure. And I'm grateful for you to be doing this kind of thing because there are not that many MDs, medical doctors out there that do what you do. And it's important. I mean, there's definitely, I have utmost respect for naturopaths and all different types of, integrative types of practitioners. But unfortunately, a lot of the public still only sees the MD, medical doctor, as the practitioner that, they'll trust.
Right.
And, so I think it's great that you have transitioned your practice over to doing things that are more integrative and functional medicine and just teaching people about this, because again, it is so simple, and yet, you know, people don't do it.
And it's really not a transition. This is how I started. This is how I started 30 years ago, 31
Right.
years ago. So I didn't start here and move to here. I've always been right here, Eastern Western medicine. And that's what I love about this. And, I speak to people who tell me, oh, I've been doing this for 5 years. Oh, that's great. It's wonderful that you've seen the light. But I saw the light when I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, believe it or not.
Right. Yeah. Well, that just makes you even more unique.
Yeah.
So I'm sure after this discussion, people are going to want to know how they can get in touch with you. So whatever kind of contact information you want people to have, whether you want them to go to your website, or how would you like them to connect with you?
Oh boy, I didn't even think of that. Because a lot of the people, for example, in Naples, it's all word of mouth. A lot of my patients come from other patients, because what I like to do, as I said in the beginning, is I do a pre-interview with you, which will take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to get to know you a little bit, and I make the decision whether you're ready to come and see me, because I don't want you to waste my time. Because when I'm in Naples, I enjoy being there, and I enjoy going to the beach and playing tennis and pickleball and going to the pool, etc. I don't want people wasting my time. So I'll do a quick pre-interview and decide whether you're going to see me or I'm going to see you or not. After that, and I don't mean that to sound cocky, okay? I truly mean that in a very caring way. And then I send you a prescription for an extensive amount of blood work. It is urine, blood, your genetics, I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I will then come to your home once that evaluation is all done, and I will spend 2 hours with you going over my 5 points of wellness and designing a program and a plan for you. That's what I do. I think the best way to get in touch with me is probably my cell phone. I'm afraid to do that, but that's probably the best way, because on my website, this program is not delineated, because it's, my practice is a little bit different here in New Jersey. So I'll give out my phone number. If I get bombarded with calls, then we'll just take this down. That's all.
Exactly.
It is 908-256-5560. Once again, 908-256-5560. And if you're interested, give me a call. I mean, I like to answer my own questions. I don't want my staff to be answering stuff that, that they may not have all the answers to, where I do.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And I think that, people who are ready, who are serious, will connect with you.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes it's just, people just need time to kind of wrap their head around, basically making a lot of lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
It's not something that that's going to happen overnight. I mean, I tell people all the time, you didn't gain a lot of weight overnight. You didn't get sick overnight. And natural medicine is about kind of peeling all those things back, and it takes time. So,
You're right.
it's a commitment.
Right. Simple little changes. And I just, and I tell people, look, I can make you better. Believe me, I can make you feel and act better. I can change the quality of your sleep. I can change the quality of your energy. I can change your physical energy. And I can also change your mental and emotional energy. And also, I can fix your sexual energy, because that's a very important piece of who people are. I have a lot of patients who come in and say, I haven't felt this good, and my partner hasn't told me we've not had a relationship like this in 30 years. Well, because I've fixed your hormones, I've fixed your nutrients, I've fixed your energy. And now you're able to not only perform emotionally, mentally, but you're now also able to perform physically and sexually. So that's it. I don't want to forget that important piece of who people really are.
Right. No, I'm glad you pointed that out too. Yeah, because think about it, when if you're not, even if you don't have a chronic illness, but you just don't feel good, you're tired, you don't like the way you look, whether it's, physically or mentally or emotionally, the last thing you feel like doing is being with your partner. So
Right.
that's really important too, I
Good
think.
point. Good
Yeah.
point. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, this has been great, Dr. DeSilva. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, people can reach out and contact you directly. We will also have this video up on our website, essentialnaples.com and naturalnutmeg.com. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Have a great day.